This place is so precarious to walk in today after the snow yesterday. It's just packed ice everywhere. I was watching an old episode of Only Fools and Horses last night. Seems so recent. It was Christmas '96. But yeah, it's a long time ago now. And Dale and Rodney had just received a cheque for several £1 million from Sotheby's. And they go to a used car sales lot straight away and look at the Rolls Royce, and they realise they can afford it. And Rodney says to Dale, buy it, go on. And he says, yeah, I'm tempted, but if this deal goes tits up, I'm going to be saddled with a 70 grand debt. And I just thought, isn't it amazing when life does that to you? You know, when all your optimism is tinged with a sort of good dose of sort of realistic fear. I keep looking at the council house application website, and there's a section where it says your social housing, and it gives my details, my name, my age, my address, and my banding, which is band 2, you know, relatively second highest priority. And I keep thinking to myself, I can't get too excited about this, because if this goes tits up, etc, etc. It's funny, 2 years ago today I started my first full day of the next 8 weeks living with my folks in Kent. I hate referring to it still as living there. You know, I didn't. It was just a necessity for a few weeks to get my shit in gear. And that 8 weeks passed for you a damn sight quicker than it did for me, no doubt. But ironically, I got to April, moved here, and that last 8 weeks, wow, it's spring, it's warm. And that 8 weeks ago, freezing cold with no decent clothing and everything that belonged to me hundreds of miles away. You know, it seemed to have gone past in the blink of an eye. I remember one weekend in particular, 2001, when some poop had happened in my life on a quite sort of apocalyptic scale. And I can remember the Easter weekend, every day was the same, but for some reason it was sort of registered in my head, I guess, imprinted that Easter's an event, you know, it's a nice time. I was on my own for the 3 days, you know, Good Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday, 4 days where it's officially kind of Easter time, and that time seemed to just go on forever. It was days that had no particular relevance, but they had every bit of relevance in the way you brought up and the things that happen, you know, time off school, Easter holidays, Easter eggs, you know, none of it applied. And that 4 days just went on forever. But it is funny how these things just repeat in life. You know, 2 years ago I was 100 miles away in a much worse position than I am now. None of my mental issues had deteriorated to the point that they have in recent times, but you know, I was a work in progress. And you know, it got to the point in late March where I was coming up here and looking at places, and even when the place I'm in now sort of looked like it was a dead cert, been here, liked it. Guy in the employment agency, the property agency said, yes, quiet house, you'll get on all right here. And I did, but you know, it was, I can remember going home and got a text from the guy saying, oh, we can't do that deal that we offered you, we're going to have to ask you for a little bit more money. And it was all perfectly above board and legal, you know, there wasn't any sort of funny business going on. And I just remember just despairing. All I needed to do was say to my parents, look, you know the money I've got, it isn't quite enough. And they just said, don't worry about it, here you go, we'll pay you, you know, you pay us back when you can. And you know, right up to the point where I was in the car and on my way up here at 6 in the morning on the day I moved here, I thought, still going to go tits up, isn't it? Variation on a theme here, but this morning I had a situation that reminded me of a story I've told many times about talking to the council down in London. You might remember, where they would tell me everything in an email, multiple emails we'd had between each other, but the moment I wanted to talk to them on the phone, they insisted on blood samples, stool samples, and you know, what my mother's blood type is, for them to even consider speaking to me. And I've been talking to the council since last June the 3rd, via email, with regards to getting this housing situation sorted out. That's when my application was made. You can see how long it's taken. They got in touch with me today, me having got the inkling on the 21st of January 2021 that I was Band 2 priority, and I just wanted some assurance from them. I wrote to them, as I have done a million times, and they've given me the most sensitive information and vice versa. And they got in touch with me this morning. I thought, oh, they'll confirm whether I'm, I truly am in this Band 2. Email this morning said, could you please get in touch with us via email and give us the blessing to discuss this issue with you. We need you to have given us permission. And I thought, I have been talking to you through literally tens, if not probably over 100 emails since last June with the most sensitive of information, and you've just shared it without a thought. And now, when it comes to, the situation seems to be coming to fruition, all of a sudden you need my permission to talk to me. Surely me asking you a question in the first place is giving you the permission to speak in a sensitive manner about my information. I tell you, this world baffles me sometimes with regards to bureaucracy and BS. One of the big conflicts I've always had with certain people close in my life is their pessimism when life is difficult, but you find a way of moving forward. And I found it very hard to understand or appreciate that pessimism. But just like with so many things in life, you always become the thing you hate the most. I've just become so lacking in faith and belief that certain things that are rightfully mine and are coming my way with little or no problem, I find it very hard to believe something won't make it all go tits up. It's such a weird thing to think that I've become that person. My optimism is just shot to buggery. I think it's just such a hard lesson that life gives us sometimes with regards to what other people will take if you keep leaving the buffet open. Since I was a kid, on a literal level, speaking of buffets, I've said before, I could never as a kid get involved in the scrum at the birthday party when the sheet was lifted from the party food and everybody just dived in and fighting each other for little sandwiches and sausages and stuff. Could never get involved, and still can't. I'm full of observation and wisdom and all that kind of crap, but it doesn't serve me in any way, shape or form, because I've allowed the greatest of bad situations to just escalate out of control in my life. And I'm not very proud of myself at this point in time. I guess in my defence, you can't walk into every situation with guns blazing. You have to let what will be. And sometimes it gets to a point where you realise, hang on a sec, there is something dodgy being perpetrated here, maybe not on purpose, but if kids are brought up not without having boundaries and understanding other people's boundaries, and it was shit that I didn't learn till I was about 32. In all honesty, there's somebody who I credit with teaching me what integrity meant and what boundaries were. And if people haven't been taught that, as I wasn't, you just go hog wild in life, and your ego is completely off the chain. And I find that one of my greatest cynicisms, it's not just love where people are insane when you first get together, you ignore all of their dodgy side, and your brain irons it all out because you're just so infatuated with them. Happens in all sorts of situations in life where people are on their best behaviour. I remember back in the day somebody moving into a house and saying, there are various people here, would you like me to smoke at the end of the garden? I said, no, just smoke out the back, it's fine. If a little bit of smoke drifts in my window, it's hardly the end of the world. And slowly but surely, as the months went on, and they'd been there about probably 8 months, they completely gave up. They were just smoking in their room. It's not something that overly bothers me, but it's just that pantomime that you get when you first meet a lot of people. Utterly hate it. That honeymoon period, that fart barrier, that within a relationship, 3 months in, you let your first eggy fart go and your partner's disgusted, It's like you emigrate somewhere away from yourself, but 3 months later all of your bad, dodgy, old rickety furniture catches up with you by boat, you know, and the reality of what and who you are is shown. I don't trust anybody on face value when I first meet them anymore. Not in a million years. So many people, including myself, have just put on this facade and then just blown it like a big one within the first 6 months. I'd be a fool to trust anymore. And I will completely hasten to add that my inability to trust is as much a reflection on the imprint of my own behaviour over the years as it is that of other people. But it's equal. You know, I've learnt the hard way from my own behaviour and what I've had bestowed upon me, some could say karmically, that trust, you've got to be a fucking idiot to get to a certain point in your life and still have it.